So in this video, we are going to learn about scene navigation, game object and components, light and materials, basic scripting, and play mode. So while learning that, we will create this rotating cube using a script. So before we do anything in Unity, first we need to understand how to move around in the scene. So this is the scene view. So first of all, we need to press right click and you can move around like this, left to right, up and down. Then you can press right click and press W to go forward, S to come backward, A to go left, and D to go right. After that, we can scroll in for zoom in and scroll out for zoom out. For moving the scene, you can just click, hold left mouse click, and you can drag. So you can drag it and then you can come back like this. After that, you can press Alt, left click, and you can rotate your camera. So now it's not rotating on its own axis, it will take the center and it will rotate around that. You can press Alt, hold right click, and if you move your mouse left to right, then you can see you can zoom in smoothly in the scene. And if you are somewhere in the scene like far away, so you can go and select your object over here, cube, and press F in the scene and you will be focused to the selected object. So in Unity, everything we see in the scene is a game object. This cube, this plane, this light, and this camera, everything is a game object. What is a game object? Game object is nothing, just a container. So what does it mean? So if you go to the hierarchy and right click and create empty. So this you see game object. So this creates a empty game object, which is this one, which come with the transform. So every game object will have the transform. You can select the cube and any game object and you can go to this inspector window and you can see this checkbox. You can enable or disable your game object from here. So if you have this cube and if I drag this to plane, so now the plane is a parent and cube is the child. So what will happen if I move the plane? If I'll move the plane, your child will also move with it. So that's how this game object hierarchy work. So if even inside this cube, if you create another object, you go to the 3D object and you take a capsule and we can move this capsule a bit. So if I again select this plane, you can see this selection bar means everything is selected and you can move them. You can see. And now if you select the cube, you can move the child of it, which is capsule. I'll remove this capsule and I'll take this cube outside and I'll remove this game object also. A game object itself doesn't do much. It's basically a empty container. So in Unity, when you select a cube or any game object, so you can see there is a lot of things in inspector window. Everything you are seeing on the inspector window is component. Components add behavior to the game object, like how it will behave in the game and in the scene. So if you see the cube, there is a mesh renderer. So what does this do? This renders the cube on the scene. So if you remove this, you can see there is no cube. So this is a component. Okay, even this light, this camera, both are the component. Okay, so now you will say, like I said earlier, that this are the game object. Yeah, they are game object. I told you these are the empty containers containing the component. So if I remove this light, you can see the whole scene is dark now because I removed the light component from my directional light. So does this mean we can create our custom game objects? Yes, you can. So we have this camera. As you can see, it has a camera component. So we can go and create a new empty and we can select this game object and we can go to add component and we can add this camera. And you can see we have the camera. So even if you remove this camera now and you go to game, you can see still we can see through the camera because we have this camera working right now. If you move it, you can see it's moving. That means this camera is working right now. So we need to understand that every game object has a transform. Okay, and it has a position, rotation, scale. So anything you will select, any game object, it will come with a predefined transform. And you can also remove the component if you like by mistake added something and you want to remove. So you can just go to these three dots and you can just go to the remove component and click here, and you can remove that component from the inspector window. So remember this thing, that game objects are container and components give them behavior. Now let's talk about lights, because without light nothing in Unity looks good. So if I turn off the light, you can see the scene become dark. So this directional light, if you see here, so this is a directional light and it works as a sun. So if I'll go and click here for the rotate tool, and if I rotate this, so you can see it is changing. So it is from day to night cycle when you rotate a directional light. So if you see, again it is dark. So you need to understand this directional light is works as a sun. Okay, then I'll go and disable this one and I'll create a new light. So I'll right click, I'll go to the lights and I'll go and create a point light. So as you can see, as I created, you can see it's bright. So a point light is like a light bulb, and the radius you are seeing around this is like the range of the point light. So for how much distance it will cover, and if you go, you can see this range, you can decrease it, and you can see, as you can see here, it is not affecting anymore. And if you increase, so you need to understand the point light is like a light bulb and it shines in all direction from one point. Okay, so we'll not go for the advanced lighting for now. Just we need to understand the lights control how visible and realistic objects look. Okay, so we'll go and remove this point light and we'll enable our directional light. So now we need to understand the materials. So materials in Unity tells you like this object is a concrete, is it a brick, or is it a water? Materials control how your objects look in Unity. So what we'll do, we'll create a material and assign to this cube. So we'll go right click over the project window. Here we create all our files and we create a folder known as material. And then we'll open this, right click, create, and we create a material. And so we have the material. So now there is multiple way to assign the material to the object. I'll tell you few of them. So one is like you can just select this and your material and drag it on the object. That's how you can assign, or you can go and drag it on the hierarchy. You can assign like that also, and you can just select it and drag it in the inspector window, or in the end you can go and drag it in the material of the mesh renderer and you assign it. So there's multiple way of doing this. So now we'll see just two settings, the base color and the emission map. So first we'll see the base color. So we'll go and change the color. So you can see, you can, when you change the base color, your cube's colors are changing. See, now it is red. Okay, so this is the base color. And now the emission. So emission means how we can glow the object in Unity. So what I'll do, I'll remove the base color to 0, and now I'll go and enable the emission and I'll select a color, maybe red. Okay, so now it looks like similar only, but the thing is we can increase the value of the intensity over here, but you see nothing is happening. Even at 10 our cube still looks the same. Why? So the post processing is not proper in the scene. So what we'll do, we'll go and select this global volume and we'll go to the tone mapping first and then we bloom. Okay, there's two things. So in tone mapping from mode neutral, you see this, it looks a bit flat right now, but if I change it to SS, you can see a little bit depth we feel. Okay, and the second thing is this bloom. Okay, so either you decrease this threshold, you can see overall it start glowing, or what you can do, you can keep it 1 and you can increase the intensity and you can see it start glowing. Okay, so it is too much for now, but okay, just for showing purpose I'm showing you. So you have this and you can see it's glowing. Okay, even without light also you can see it is glowing. So emission is very important when we create something like fire, magic, or energy kind of VFX. So right now we don't need to understand every material setting. Color and emissions are enough. Okay. But we need to remember, like, lights affect how objects are lit and materials affect how object looks. Okay. So now let's look at a very basic script. Don't worry about coding. We'll keep this very simple. So I'm going to create a new C# script. So I'll go right click, create the folder known as the script, and then I'll open it and I'll go to create scripting and I'll click on this mono behavior script and I'll rename as test. So we need to understand script don't do anything by themselves. They work when we attach them to a game object. So if I'll select this test and drag it to the cube, and if I click on the cube, oh, it came twice, sorry. So we'll remove this. So we have this script. Okay. So when I open the script, Unity give us some default code. So we'll select this and double click. So it will open in VS Code. Okay, so you need a VS Code or any code editor to write the scripts. Okay, so it comes with two functions, which is void start and void update. So what void start do? So it runs the code in starting of the game. When you start playing the game, it runs your code. But update functions run your code every frame. So we'll do one thing. I'll add a small line of code, a single line, and we'll see what will happen. So I'll write transform, which is for transforming, and we'll rotate, and then we need to give x, y, and z value. Okay, so if I'll put x to 0f, which means 0 float, and then for y we'll give 50f multiplied by time dot delta time. And don't worry, when we will do a little bit more scripting, we'll see what is time delta time, mono behavior, everything. And I'll save this. So as you can see, it will compile and you see nothing changed really. But if you will go and play this, so as you can see, it start rotating, which means now the rotate function is called per frame. Every frame it is rotating by 50f multiplied by time dot delta time. So this is like a simple line of code. So scripts are often used to control effects like turning a VFX on or off or changing values. So you don't need to be a programmer, just remember script control behavior. So we'll see what is play mode. Play mode is where we test our scene. So when I press the play button, Unity start running the scene. So if I play this button, so it will start running the scene. So anything that moves, updates, or run in real time happens in play mode. So, and remember this thing, when you stop play mode, any changes you made during play mode are not saved. What does this mean? So I have this cube. If I'll go and change the position of it, you see it is here. But if you'll stop this, or maybe I'll move it more so you can understand. So it is not on the plane right now. But if I stop, you can see still it is there. So that means when you are in play mode, if you are in play mode and you did any changes, so you need to remember the value. Then when you leave this play mode, then you need to put those value over there. We will use play mode a lot to test scripts, lights, and visual effects. So all visual effects also play and update in play mode. So remember, play mode is for testing, not editing. And in our next video, we'll see about the particle effects. We'll create our first VFX with the legacy particle system of the Unity. So keep watching the video and thanks for watching the video.